Okay. Video mute. All right. So let's see. We're starting. Hello. We are starting week 6, right? Week 6. All right. So what are some of the things that we have learned, like thinking back to like week 1? Let's just throw some things up here. Joey. Yeah. So like binary stuff. Binary stuff. We could break that down further, right? Like what are some of the things we did with binary? Anybody?
We learned how many bits are in a byte.
Okay. Yeah, like bits in a byte, right? What else? Somebody else.
Converting them from binary.
Right.
Hexa and decimal.
Yeah, so we learned about conversions. What else? Someone over here. Gabby? What's that? Oh, yeah, positional values. That's a good one. Okay, positional values. Okay, and then what about just some other stuff? Oh, yeah, we learned the OSI model. What else? Everyone's going to have to give me one, so. Yeah. Yeah, so we also learned about hosts and addresses. I like that. Okay. Lou. Oh, yeah. So like how to configure them on the computer and even devices, right? So configuring IPs, and you like how to read them, right? How to read them. Okay, Matt? Oh, nice. Yes, we learned about protocols. Angel? Hi, Jason.
Like the different types of media.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I'll just put like the physical layer and media, right? And then I'll like link this back to the OSI model, right? Okay, we're just talking for Jason and Guillermo, we're just like calling out different things that we've learned in this like 5-6 weeks. So can you throw something out here? So I'm going to just add that with media, right? So straight throughs, crossovers. Okay, Jason? Oh, yeah. Yeah, so CSMA carrier avoidance. Well, and then there's also carrier CSMA, CA, and CD detection. I'm like,
The CA was new to me, so the
Yeah.
ready to send, the clear to send.
Yes.
Process.
The RTS and stuff like that. Yeah, okay. So let's have another one. Okay. Yes. So we're learning about different devices. Okay. Caesar, another one. Could be anything. Yeah, we've been talking about topologies. Okay, what else? Ozzy? Okay, I kind of have that up here with physical media. And then I've also got like straight through crossover, so I'm gonna leave that. Lou? Okay. Okay, so again, kind of around physical media, so transmission. Yes, transmission, okay. Still waiting for one of my favorite topics. Which is it? I can see we need another quiz.
We learned about WANs and LANs.
Okay, mans and lands. WANs and LANs. We've been talking about WANs and LANs. Yes, what else? Gabby? Thank you. Darn it. I was like, man, I was going to start the day with a quiz. Default gateway. End devices. We've been talking about end devices. Okay, what about something from Module 2? Someone? Joey? Something from Module 2. Could be anything, just anything from Module 2. Yes, it was last week. Actually, it's still this week. We're doing 2 and 6 this week.
Basic device configuration.
Yes, exactly. I'm looking for that, right? We've started talking about, and we've done a couple of labs already around basic device configurations, right? Configurations, okay. I'd like to get, so what about, what's the other one, the other protocol suite? TCP, IP, protocol suite. Okay, and then what do we need to know that relates to the OSI model and the TCP IP model? The PDUs, right? The PDUs. And then like just throw some vocabulary up here. So let's just add some vocabulary terms that we've been talking about. Okay. PPP. We didn't really learn too much about it, but yeah, it's in there, right? It's a protocol, point-to-point.
SSH.
Yeah, so SSH. Okay, some other terms.
DHS?
What is it?
Is it DHS?
Do you mean DHCP?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so Angel, give me a term between the modules 1 through 6 that we've learned. Doesn't have to be a protocol, just any term.
Yeah, can it just be like a frame?
Yes, thank you. A frame. Another one of my favorites. Frame. Okay, Jason, a term.
You got a segment.
Segment, thank you. Matt, a term.
The session layer.
Thank you. Session layer. Okay, Guillermo, a term. What is it? Data link. Okay, so these are kind of layers, right? Gabby. What is it? Sequencing. Thank you. Yes, that's a term. Yes, thank you. Sequencing. Okay, over here, Lou, a term.
That'd be from last week.
No, this whole 6 weeks. Any term that we've learned in the last 6 weeks.
Octet?
Thank you. Great one. Octet. Okay, Ozzy, your hand was up. Yes, packets. Thank you. Joey.
LLC.
Excellent. What is an LLC?
That's what I was trying to remember.
It is a sublayer of the data link layer.
Well, I remembered that. I meant the, like, what it stands for.
Oh, logical link control.
Okay.
Logical link control. Daniel.
Mac.
A Mac. Oh, so like we got a lot of things for Mac, right? So we could do the Mac sublayer, but we could also do a Mac address, right? Okay. Caesar.
Since you said frame was your favorite, header.
Okay, yeah. A header. Nicely done. I'm going to add encoding. Okay, I'm going to add encoding. I'm going to add multiplexing. I'm going to add, tagging. What else can I? Something else was on the tip of my tongue. Channel, nice. Oh, since we did channel, we should add source and destination, right? You always have a source, you have a destination, and then the channel connects the two, okay? All right, so the whole point is you've probably learned a lot more than it feels like, right, at this point in the game. And maybe you haven't got it all the way absorbed in, but that's what the rest of the semester is for, right? We keep practicing, we keep learning more things, and then for those of you that are going into 150, like we bring all this stuff with us and we keep practicing, okay? So what I want to do is I'm going to publish this assignment, but I want to talk about it for a minute first. Let me see if you can see it through my writing. If not, I'll erase. All right, so we are 6 weeks into our class, right? I know it probably feels like we've covered a lot, so I'm going to publish this in a minute. For this assignment, you're going to think back over the last several weeks, determine 2 things that you have learned, you've gotten better at, or you've mastered since the first day of class. Once I publish this, you're going to use the plus at the bottom right-hand corner to add a note, and then you're going to put your name in it, and you're just going to tell me something that you've learned. Like, here's an example. This is one that I did. Now, I'm trying to think if I've learned anything in this class. I usually always still learn something new. But I added something from a different class that I've been taking recently. So here, you're going to put your name in it, right? And then I added digital forensics. And mine says, I've been studying digital forensics, and I've learned how to search files for hidden pictures. This has been very eye-opening as to how data can be hidden. And then you're going to add 2 things, right? I just added 1, but you're going to add 2. Here's an example of somebody else that did one for me as a sample. They put a little picture of the OSI model. There's 7 layers to the OSI model, and how each layer connects and corresponds to PDUs and the TCP/IP. Okay, so I'm just going to publish this. Just add 2 things. If you want to do pictures, there's some creativity involved, you can do that. So this is going to be under class activities, week 6. Let's see. Let me see if I have it published. Okay, I just published it. It's called We've Learned a Lot Already. And right down here in the corner is that plus button. So when you click that, it gives you like a little notepad that you can create in, okay? Gives you a little notepad. Make sure you put your name in it, because it doesn't capture your name unless you put it in there. You know, maybe you've gotten really good at VLSM. That's something to be proud of. If you could tell me the 3 characteristics of a default gateway, that's something to be proud of. Is it working? And you could do 2 separate notes if you wanted, or you could put them both in one note, whatever works for you. We're going to do flashcards next, if you want to get those ready, if you're done with your pad, your notepad. And just make sure your name is on them and that you've got them numbered. Let's see. Is everybody done, or is somebody still working on it? Okay, cool. I want, a couple of you have missed a class here and there, and there's a couple people that have missed classing today, but I just wanted to show you this assignment right here. It's at the very top of your modules. I think we've talked about it before, but let me just bring it back to your attention. It's how to make up missed assignments. Now this is for in-class activities, because for the most part, the out-of-class assignments, you can turn them in late. It's just, you know, you have a late penalty. So this is if you miss something in class due to an absence, or I don't know, maybe you just forgot to do it or something like that, right? So you can do this how to make up missed assignments. Just if you go in here, it'll give you the directions of what you have to do. And you can create a PowerPoint slide providing some information about the assignments you missed. You know, how will this help your grade to make them up? And, you know, you can ask for 5 assignments at a time, and then send that in, and I'll let you know whether or not you can make that up. We don't do things like the Kahoots. You can't make up the Kahoots because we're doing those right then and there. Sometimes there might be an assignment on there that I'll tell you you can do it at home versus coming into Open Lab. Some of them, though, you've got to come into Open Lab to do them. So that's one of the reasons that we review it, is like, okay, I might just open it and let you do it at home. Other times you've got to come in here, and one of the tutors will open up the assignment for you, okay? And other times, like I might recommend that you watch the video so that you can follow along with the demonstration. Jason, like last week, you missed some of the labs. You don't need to do the missed class assignment for labs, just come in and make up the labs. Because they're like an assignment that they're open till the end of the semester, okay? So if you decide to make that up, you don't have to do the missed class assignment. This is more for like, you know, when we're doing Froggers, we're doing maybe crossword puzzles. Today we're gonna do a packet tracer demonstration, that type of a thing. Lou?
I was going to ask, do you teach multiple 140 classes?
I do.
And are we allowed to like hop over if, like, let's say I can't make it Thursday, but I know I can do like a Wednesday afternoon class?
Yeah, you could try that. Yeah, for sure, I'm open to that. This, yes, yeah, and which I don't think that would happen. One of the disadvantages for this class is you're ahead of the Monday, Wednesday class, because the very first week of school, Monday was a holiday. So you started before they did, and now Monday was a holiday. They've missed 2 class periods. And so I usually use your class to gauge what I have to do in their class. So like this week, I'm not really sure, you know, like, because they're losing a whole day. Yeah, they are. They are. But they, you know, they're losing, again, at this point, they've lost 2 whole class periods. So it's terrible. It's hard. It's harder. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know there is a way to make up in-class activities, okay? All right. So let us, everyone have their oh, one more thing. Here's something else we have talked about before. However, I want to talk about it one last time. Well, I'll probably talk about it again. Who am I kidding? Let's see. Some of you might be eligible to apply for the certificate of completion, depending upon what classes you have taken. So many of our classes, they're bundled together because they are designed to kind of work together, and they demonstrate to an employer that you've accomplished a certain task, perhaps you've developed a certain skill set. And for those of you that have taken BPC 170 and BPC 270, and now you're taking CNT140, that would qualify you for a certificate of completion. Or maybe you're taking BPC 170 or 270 right now along with this class. That's also pretty common. I just want you to know those 3 classes equate to a certificate of completion. It looks good on your transcript. Is it going to get you a job? No. It's not going to be like, oh, look at this person, they have a CCL. And, you know, however, it'll just be one more thing to show that you can demonstrate some skills, okay? I want to make sure that everyone is getting these if you are qualified. And you can submit for it now, even though you're not done with the class, okay? So there's that. And now we are going to do flashcards. Let's see here. Let me put everybody into some groups. And we are in Module 6. And Module 6, what are we learning about? Yeah, the data link layer, right? We have moved from the physical layer to the data link layer. And so Module 6, 7, and 9 are about the data link layer. And each, the Module 6 is kind of like a big overview. And then Module 7 is going to dig down into the frame. And then Module 9 is about ARP. Module 9 is a very short module. And ARP is kind of like a protocol that walks the line between the data link layer and the network layer, right? It's not really sure. Am I a little bit 2 or am I a little bit 3, okay? So that's what we're going to be doing. All right, and the data link layer is so important, especially if you are going into any type of security or cybersecurity. If layer 2 has a vulnerability, what other layers have a vulnerability? All of them. All of them. Okay. Guillermo and Lou. Angel and Marcus is not here. Hold on. You don't have any flashcards? Do you have flashcards? Good job. Okay, so hold on, Angel. Let me see. Does anybody else not have flashcards? Okay. Ozzy and Gabby. Caesar and Joey. Okay. Matt and Daniel. Jason, and I'm going to put you with Angel. Give them all of the hard questions. I think this happened last time, but you didn't have cards.
Me and someone else.
Oh, you and someone else. Okay.
So you went around collecting hard ones.
Oh, that was such a good idea. Okay, go ahead and get together. Let's do these flashcards. Get a good, strong start on Module 6, the data link layer. I don't remember. Guillermo. You're with Guillermo. Guillermo. Did you say Jeremo? I'm like, that might be a good name, Jeremo.
Receives the address from the in the form of the PDU from the network layer. Is that entire encapsulated packet from the network layer is now encapsulated as the data portion of the frame. So it receives the IP addresses from the higher layer, but it utilizes the MAC address. But no, it's I've got it's an IEEE standard. But with this, it also covers into the physical.
I try to write down
so
everything,
you've
not
got some physical stuff in there like
I try to write it down.
ISO
Take what I say.
and C. So, and then the other one for stuff if you're going into tech, computer, IT, get used to hearing triple E and C and
Phew.
always set a
Thank you.
standard for whatever it is you're working on. You know. What are the two types of topologies? CSMACD is an old friend of mine, but what does it stand for?
Oh, that's awesome.
It's carrier sense multiple access. See, back in the day, the hosts would share a line off of a switch or whatever and connect through a hub, or they would connect through ThinNet and have a T off of their computer, and you know, they would all share one line. If you think back to like equate it to the old timey phone systems where it was party line, where you just rang up an entire block and both the right house answered, and you would have to keep calling back until the right house picked up. That was why everyone called the operator for operator assisted calls. Oh, everyone now has a direct line, just like the switches for computers. All that evolved. The tech over time. See, an entire block used to be wired up to one phone line, or not necessarily an entire block, but you know, party line. Oh, that infrastructure is long gone right now. It's all evolved. But it's all built off of that. It's crazy that like fundamental knowledge. Well, like you think a lot of the network communications, the modems broke out to speeds 14.4, 20, and all that. That was 14,000, or I'm sorry, yeah, 14,400 bits per second. Fast modems. 28.8 was awesome. All right, wireless communications use CSMACD. True or false?
And explain your answer.
No, that's the other one. This section 4 it happened. Now it's trying to go, okay, do I fix this, or do I just send back and say, hey, error?
Wireless communications.
That one's
CSMACD. True or
I'm trying to
false?
avoid it, but then this one is you couldn't avoid it.
was because with a wired connection, I have a physical medium that I am in control of. And so collision avoidance is, you'd have to equate that to something like token ring, where all of the computers are networked together on the same line, and they pass a token which has the information, and they just pass it along computer to computer. Oh, you're the one who's getting the data this time. Congratulations. Take that information and go ahead and load it. So token ring would pass that token around, and that token was a collision avoidance. The Ethernet, though, utilizes the collision detection because, well, if they do, there's a back end to the collision detection. Beyond just the collision happening and the frame failing, that's detected on the wire electronically. So both of those network interface cards, they're programmed to back off a random amount of time before trying to send. Each of them is backing off a random amount. So they're not going to back off the same amount, so they will avoid that collision.
Later.
What am I missing?
Nothing. I was just explaining what a
Nothing.
topology might look like.
A mesh topology?
It was, yes. What else you got?
Full duplex.
Oh, that's when you can send and receive at the same time.
Both devices can transmit and receive.
Right.
And then what is the half?
You can only transmit one direction, or only one device at a time. Yeah.
What can fiber do?
Fiber, you can do single mode fiber for that. What we were just talking, or multi-mode fiber would be for the full duplex, right? Yeah.
Well, and you've got to have a duplex fiber cable.
Okay. Well, yeah. If you were
They're
if you were
goofy.
going to do the single mode, then you would have two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fiber is kind of
I
goofy.
think I put that on my notes too. Like
Yeah.
You can have like the way you can do full duplex with like UTP cables, so it uses a pair of wires.
Yeah. And so one of the things that we talk about is auto MDIX.
Right.
And so, these devices have auto MDIX on by default. And so you're like, oh, that's so cool. But there's some cable that can't work they can't work with auto MDIX. Sometimes fiber is that. And then there's some protocols where you have to turn it off. So that's why you have to understand because even full duplex and half duplex auto MDIX will take care of. So you have to know all those little
We
things.
had a little chance to try and test the auto MDIX or the cable making thing because they had their little sensors out. But Chase finally went back and got something that he could actually plug into to see if it would actually
Oh,
work with the cable.
yeah, you have to have
He's like,
both.
Nope. He's like, the auto MDIX doesn't work, the cable's wrong.
That's funny.
Considered a good thing considering
Controlled access.
What was the question?
That was,
that wasn't it was more of a trying to explain the which CSMA was the one that was involved in wireless.
Oh, avoidance.
Yeah, wireless just collision avoidance. I was just trying to figure out which one it was, but in my note card I specifically I said in relation to collision. I didn't say collision avoidance because I had written collision avoidance for my own purposes. But if I had told him,
Yeah, it'd be like, it's that one.
he would have immediately known.
Yeah.
Which one is controlled access?
Yeah. Well, and also, I always found it so hard to remember those. I don't know why, but I finally was like, okay, for actual wire, right? It's like if you could see it, it can detect something because there's something for it to travel on, right? But with wireless, it's just like it's got to, yeah, it's got to try to avoid it. So that's, yeah.
That makes sense. It was still
predetermine the
still
schedule
funny
to
that
access
they
to
use
me,
the
which
word
is what you're
collision.
saying. It's the same. We're both
That's
saying the same
considered-
thing.
If I'm thinking about like data colliding against one another, the first thing
No,
that I
it's a
think that's
bad thing. No, it's a bad thing. Collision, avoid, you want to avoid the collision because it's a bad thing. Yeah.
in relation to wireless, yeah, because or at least the way I understood it was like, oh, it has a negative connotation, but it's like that's how he does the connecting basically for
Tell me, explain what you mean.
for Ethernet one, for the other one, not for the wireless LANs.
Well, so CD, we really don't even need CD anymore. CSMA CD is more of a legacy concept because switches run in full duplex, so we don't really have collisions on Ethernet anymore. So, we don't use that much. But if you were to turn that off, if you were to turn off full duplex and run in half duplex, you would need to have it. So there's still some functionality to it.
Would there even be a situation where that would be beneficial?
There are certain times when you want the data to only come one direction or another direction. There's certain protocols. Sometimes there's a server where you only want to be able to receive it in one direction. So
Reading the book about that.
the proxies, it's not common, but there are times, yeah. Yeah. Like in my whole life, I can't think of a time maybe other than once that I turned off. Now, when you start moving into the higher, like CCNP concepts, that's when we start looking more at some half duplex stuff. Yeah, so it could happen. It could happen. All right, everyone ask one more good question. Everybody ask one more good hard question.
So what would the header contain? What else does it provide? What other fields are there?
The type, I think that's the protocol.
Data, error correction,
Even though I read it,
frenetic sequence.
alright, so
All part of it.
I had a lot in common.
Yeah, that's out of module 6.
So what did you wrote for the two?
Now, that's a little more generic when you think about specifically Ethernet frame. An Ethernet frame has a header address, or I mean a source address, destination address, a type, both error, frame check sequence, and data.
And I learned a lot.
But when you think about serial connections, like our connection to the router, we had control. One stop there. No parity bits.
I did read how last
Eight data bits. That's all flow control.
All right, so go ahead and put your flashcards back together and pass them to Chase. Yeah, give them to Chase. It is a Kahoot. Yes. And I just published it if you want to access it from you can, if I publish them, you can access them from inside. It'll just take you to the Kahoot link. So. The console. You know, and I want to, why we're talking about this, let's talk about one more thing too, as it relates to the switch and then also the router. So when a switch comes out of the box, it works. You turn it on, you plug in a cable, you plug in a computer, and it starts sending frames. That's all it needs. Okay? Now in our labs, we've been adding an IP address to the SVI by using interface VLAN 1. Okay? The only reason we're adding an IP address to the switch is to practice how to set it up if we ever wanted to remotely manage it using like an in-band connection, okay? That's the only reason. So on labs, you might get asked a question like, why didn't the ping work? And sometimes it'll be like, you know, because I hadn't set up the switch. A switch doesn't need an IP address for your network to work. Now, you wouldn't be able to ping the switch if it doesn't have an IP address, but if your ping from one device to another isn't working, the switch doesn't need an IP address for your network to get connectivity. Does everybody understand that? Yes.
So when we ping the switch, so we have to assign the switch an IP address before we can ping it?
Yeah, if you're going to ping the switch, so like let's just look at kind of like a network that we might set up, right? So if we have this, and then we have a PC, and we have a PC. If you've put an IP address on here, 192.168.0.2 and 192.168.0.3, right? Okay, these can ping. If everything's connected right and you send out a ping, these should be able to ping each other, no problem. Okay, I did not have to add an IP address to this or this for just my network to ping. Okay, now, if I want to be able to test and ping my switch, then yeah, I have to go in and do interface, VLAN 1, IP address, 192.168.0.5, 255. Like I have to give it, you know, an address. All right, so if I want to ping from here to here, or from here to here, I have to give it an IP address. Okay, but no matter what, whether these have an IP address or not, these can ping. Okay, so if your ping doesn't work, it's because you have another problem. Sometimes people will be like, oh, it's because I didn't put an IP address on my switch. That has nothing to do with it, right? For the end devices to be able to ping. Does everybody understand that? So switch comes out of the box, it's ready to roll. It's like, yeah, send me some frames, right? That's all it cares about, okay? Right. It's only when you want to do fancy stuff. And we actually learn about even more stuff that the switches can do in 150 with IP addresses, but for the only thing we really need to know that we add an IP address to the switch so that we can get in and manage it. Yes?
Where can you buy a switch like that?
You can actually buy them pretty cheap online. I would recommend if you want to get one like to just practice. You can find Cisco switches on eBay, Craigslist. I've seen them before. Yes?
You can even find them.
Goodwill. Yes.
Very regularly.
Yes, agreed. You can find them at Goodwill. You know, now one thing is, you know, you want to make sure that it's got an operating system on it, because sometimes they don't have an operating system. And you can get an operating system sometimes just for free, you know, online. But yeah, you can. They're pretty easy to find. They're pretty easy to find. And
Especially older server ones.
like if you get a Cisco 2900 series, you'll be good. You'll be able to use that and practice and use it at your house. So yes, did somebody raise? Okay. what happened? Okay, let's go through these. Is there any such mode as global privileged mode? No, there's no such thing as global privileged mode. User exec mode. So user exec mode is the mode that you're in when you just get into the device. If you wanted to go into user exec mode from another mode, you'd have to type exit, exit, exit. You'd have to go all the way back, right? And then privileged exec mode, what do you type to get into that? Enable, right? So if you type configure terminal, you're in global configuration mode or global mode. Global, okay? SSH or Telnet. False. Which key is it? Question mark. Yeah, that's true. You can type end and it'll take you to privilege mode or control Z. Because if you think about, like, even if you use control Z if you're in Word or something, right, it takes you back to the previous. Oh, okay, so let's see here. Enable secret class. Why is that one the best?
Because that's when you're enabling the password, isn't it?
Well, yes, but why is it the best? Yeah, what does it hide? Yeah. Yeah, it hides the password. So enable password class and enable secret class both put a password on privileged exec mode. Okay, notice it's enable because we're going into privileged exec mode. And so if you do secret class, what it does is it sets the password, but it makes it a secret, so it encrypts it. Whereas if you do enable password class, it sets the password as class, but in the show run, you can actually see it. Okay, now what does service password encryption do? It does what? Not all text, but passwords. It makes the passwords encrypted. Future and past ones that you've done that might not be encrypted. And then enable password, this is just not a complete command. That's just not a complete command. NVRAM. Daniel, nicely done. Gabby, outstanding. Might be me. Yes. I forgot that I was playing sometimes, so I wasn't sure because I was like, oh, that's right, I'm playing. Okay, so go ahead and mark that we did that one. Let's take a break. It is 7:18. Come back at 7:25. Come back at 7:25. Yeah, I have to grade the learned a lot. class for the VM? Yeah. Isn't it terrible? I know.
Now you're supposed to remember every one of them, don't write them down.
Right, and
They-
none of them are supposed to be
Once a
unique.
month.
They should all be different.
And they're supposed to be, somewhat hieroglyphic because
so-
they gotta be uppercase, lowercase, special
To an extent, it's
characters.
just so unreasonable.
It's so unreasonable, right?
To an extent, at least.
Yeah. It just makes life difficult. Okay, so I just published this class activity worksheet, packet tracer demo, network access methods. So you're going to download the packet tracer and you're going to download the Word document. And don't do anything, just follow along with me. When you have both of them open and side by side, just pop your hand up so that I know. Oh. Ugh. Somebody messed it up. Let's see. Could have been a Saturday class or it was one of us from Thursday's class. Okay. Thank you. Got yours. Okay. Enable editing. Daniel, you got yours up? Oh. Yes. Open it from Canvas. What are you trying to open? So download that. Okay, I don't know what's happening. It's like it's not in the VM. Here, let me try something. Okay, Yeah, you're not in the you didn't have that in the VM. Here you go. Oh, maybe you did. Changes you made prevent this page from creating additional dialogues.
I just hit leave and downloads.
It's not downloading. Do you know what's wrong with it?
It's probably an issue. Is it opening?
Wireshark, I don't know.
Anyways.
What happens if you open Packet Tracer first?
It's weird how it's trying to open Wireshark.
I'm thinking after this, let's remove it and add it again, maybe, after we get through the, oh, there it is. Jeez. Okay. Okay. So we're just going to practice a couple things again. I really don't want you to work ahead. Okay, I want you to just kind of work along with me so that if something comes up, we can talk about it. And I also want to show you a couple of things in Packet Tracer. So one of the first things is if you go into Options. Did you get it, Daniel? Yeah. Okay. And then go into Preferences. So there's a couple of things you can do in here. So you can turn on the model names. Okay. And you can turn them off. We don't need the model names for this assignment, but sometimes you might want to know them. You can show the device names. So we're showing R1, PC1. You can turn that off. So sometimes if you just want to clear up your screen so you can see things a little easier. Okay, I'm going to leave it on for this, but I wanted to show you. You can also turn the port labels on and off. Same thing here. It's like sometimes you just might want to look at a clean topology, and so it just helps to turn the interfaces off, or maybe the interfaces are off and you want to see what the interfaces are, okay? Remember, in the real world, you wouldn't be able to turn something off and on. You'd have to go look at them, or you'd have to use a show command to figure it out. However, in Packet Tracer, we have this nice little handy helper. Show link lights. Okay, so I'm going to put the show link lights on. Oh, I don't know why the show link lights aren't coming on. Let's see. That's weird. Are your link lights on? Okay. I don't know why mine aren't on. Show, maybe it'll go on when I leave out of here. Sometimes we might turn the link lights off so that you don't have access to them because we want you to troubleshoot whether or not the link lights are on, okay? You can also change the font. So if you come over here to the font, if you want to make yours a little bit bigger, there's some different controls that you have for that. And then you hit apply. Okay, so there's a few things that you have control over inside here. You can change the colors and things like that as well. Okay, so just showing you some of the things that you can do. Oh, now I see my link lights. They were covered. There's my link lights, okay? And sometimes if you just move stuff around, you can see your interfaces. Like here, this makes it hard to see, so I like to just spread it out a little. All right, let's go. You can change the name. So if you click in here, PC, I could change this to Andrea's PC, or I could add a hyphen. Some little things that I can do to make the topology more descriptive. R1, let's say R1 was, the headquarters building or something like that. So there's just things that you can do in there to type and make the topology a little easier to read. All right, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to just take some time to really look at what some of these commands do so that we get a deeper understanding of when you're entering something, what it's actually doing. All right, so the first thing is we're not going to use the service password encryption yet. We'll use it later in this little demonstration so that we can see it. All right, let's go in here and let's do a show run. And just kind of look at everything. So I can see here that it's got a host name. I can see that the no IP domain lookup command has already been added. So there's some things here that we have some familiarity with. I can also see that the interface doesn't have an IP address on it, neither does G01. There's no VLAN, which we wouldn't normally have on a router anyway. And the line con 0 and the auxiliary, nothing's really set up. This is more or less a blank canvas other than the host name. Okay. We're going to set a privileged user password. And one of the reasons when we did the Kahoot that I wanted to talk about the difference between the enable password and enable secret password is because we're going to do this assignment. And I want us to look at the difference. Let's go ahead and type in enable password, and you're going to use that password. And we're going to do that. We'll just go into the CLI. So what mode do I have to go into first to add a command? What is it? I'm already there because I did the show run. What mode do I need to be in? Yeah, I have to be in global modes. What's the command? Config T, configure terminal. I don't know if you have seen, however, there are shortcuts, right? So you can type config T. Module 2 talked about how you can use the shortcuts, how you can use the tab key, okay? All right, so let's protect the privilege mode. We're going to type enable password, and it was PRIVACCESS, right? Priv access. Let's see. Was it priv access? Let me make, yeah, priv access. Okay, I want to make sure I get it right. And again, these directions are in the Word document. Okay, these directions are in the Word document. Another thing I want us to practice is when you add something, you go and check it. Maybe you add a couple things and then you go and check it. Okay, let's just go and check this now so that we get in the habit of it. And I want to show you another shortcut for something. Normally, to do a show command, what do you have to do? What mode do you have to be in? Privileged. I'd have to type exit in order to go back into privileged mode, right? I'd have to type exit. And then I could do a show command from here. Well, I want to show you how to do it from another mode. You can bypass that need to go backwards by typing the word do and then the command show run. Okay. And the first thing that comes up is we can see this enable password. Oh, and look how I messed that up. Priv access. I'm going to fix it right now. How do I fix something when I make a mistake like that?
Just do it again. It'll override it.
Oh, let's see. Enable, oops, password, priv, ACCESS. Okay, let's look. Do show run. Ah, yes. Not all of them work like that, though. What do you have to do sometimes? Have any of you had to do it yet? What did you have to do? You have to put something in front of the command, right? You have to do no. Although some of them you just can overtype. And if you get them where you can't do that, you could type no. So I could go no, enable, password, and you'll see here, this will actually take it out. No, enable, password, priv access. What did I do wrong?
This is where the documentation lesson comes in handy with the whole argument and all that.
Yeah, keyword and the argument. Yeah.
Argument types, whether or not they have it. Like,
So that one won't even let me do the no command. All right, we have that, so we can see that. Let's go ahead and let's type exit and get all the way out of there. And we should see this press return to get started. I just typed exit. Now hit enter, and we'll be back at just our host name. Does everybody have this? Okay, so I'm going to type enable, and what's it going to ask me for? It's going to ask me for the password, right? Because why? We set it for what? Privileged exec mode, right? Whenever you're using the enable password or enable secret, you're protecting the privileged mode. It's like the first layer of protection. There aren't a ton of things that can be done in privileged exec mode, although there's quite a few. You can do ping tests, so you could generate a ping of death. You can do show commands. There's a lot of different things. Again, you don't have full access. When you're protecting your devices, you want to think about layers of protection, and this is just that first layer of protection. Okay, let's see. What are we going to do next? P, I'm going to write, let's see if I can get in there. Yay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to set the console password. Before we do that, come to, oh, we haven't set IP addresses. Are we supposed to set IP addresses first? Do we have an IP address on PC1? Let's take a look here. I don't remember IP config. Yeah, we do. Okay, we'll come back to that. All right, so why do I need to set up a console password? Okay, can you say that louder?
anyone accessing it through the console port.
Yeah, which is the way we normally get in things, right? Whenever you get into your devices using the console PC, do you have to give it a password, or does the device just let you right in? I know the answer, so someone give it to me. Yeah, if you're getting into a lab and you're using your console, can you just get right into the device using the console? Think about the labs that we've done. Has it ever asked you for a password? Never. Anybody that sits down can get right into these devices. So if you have this set up at work and you don't have a password on your console, can just anybody get into your devices? Yeah. Okay, that's why you have to set up console passwords. You want to protect your console. That's what this line console command does. Okay, how do I get into the console line? What's the command to get into it, to start setting it up? Yeah, line console 0, right? So line con, and you can type console or con. You can abbreviate it, line con 0. Now notice it just put us into the line mode, right? The global line mode. Now, whatever you type underneath this, it's applying it to the line console. All of the labs that we've done so far, or the ones that we did last week, you set up console commands. Okay, you set up console commands. Now we're going to give it a password, which is the command. Okay, and we're going to give it this password, console access. Now, is that a keyword or an argument based on module 2? Is that a keyword or an argument? It's an argument. Why? No, it does come after the command. what comes after the command is either a keyword or an argument. What's the difference? Gabby? Yes. It's changeable, something you input. Yeah. For example, if you're setting an IP address, you're using IP address. That's the keyword. And then the argument would be the IP address, because that can change, that can be different. Well, right now, this is the command, password, and we're adding console access. And because that's something we have control over and it can change, it's actually an argument. Okay, so console access. Let's see, use the word password. Okay, do not add the command login. Okay, so we're not going to add the command login. All right, now next, we're going to set up this VTY access. All right, now we can do this in a couple of different ways. So I want to point something out. This says line console. We're in line mode. This says line VTY. We're in line mode. So you can actually go into VTY through where we're at, or we can type exit. So type exit, and we'll go into the line VTY 04.
Would you just do command? Do it the other way?
You don't even have to do a do command. So from here, I can go into line console. Okay? Now I want to be in line VTY, but we are in line mode, so I can move in between those lines. Line VTY, we're going to set a password. Password VTY access. Login. Okay. Now I want to point something out. On the console, it's very specifically saying do not add the command login, and that's because I'm going to show you something. Whereas this one says that we're going to use it. What does that command do? Right, it says, this is basically telling the device, hey, if someone's trying to log in, prompt them for the password. What's going to happen right here? What's going to happen? We're going to find out, because we didn't put the command log in. So we want to see what happens when you have the command login versus not login. Layered security. You got to think about how people are getting into your devices. Okay, how they're accessing your devices. Okay, next. How do I back up one? Exit. Now we're going to add a banner. Okay, banner MOTD. Now, before you type that message, I want you to type a different message. Okay, I want you to type something different. Or actually, let's do that. So type, take note of when you see this message. And then don't put the hashtag. Ready? Then say, call NA, network administrator, at hashtag, and then make up a phone number. 555, 555, 555. So call network administrator, Jim, and then hashtag.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
I know when we do the banner, you're supposed to put the hashtag or a symbol at the beginning and at the end. So when you put the hashtag in where the 555 is, that doesn't mess it up?
Is it going to mess it up? That's the whole point. What's it going to do?
Well, it's going to end right there, and it's not going to put the phone number.
Exactly. So hit enter. That's the whole point. I want to really drive home the importance of these delimiters. If you're using the hashtag, right, you've got to be careful. Let's do, okay, I'm going to teach you some. Enter it the wrong way. Enter it the wrong way. You have to be careful of the hashtags. Because I'm trying to say, hey, you know, call Jim at this number, right? I'm going to teach you another shortcut. Okay, so everyone pay attention. After you've entered that message, DO, show run, space, and then you're going to use the pipe key. The pipe key is above the enter key. It's the straight line. So you hold the shift and the straight line, and then type section, banner. Hit enter. And look what I did. I cut off the number because of where the hashtag was. If you want to use the hashtag in your message, what do you have to do with your delimiters? You just have to use a different delimiter beginning and end. All right, let's do an up arrow until we get our banner back. Do the up arrow until you see the banner. That way you don't have to retype it. And I'm just going to change my delimiters because I can. So you can make it whatever you want. I'm going to use the and symbol. And I'll use the and symbol at the very end. Okay, now I could have changed the hashtag too in front of the number. All right, let's do the do show again and see if we've corrected our problem. We did, right? Okay. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add something called a loopback address. A loopback address is nothing more than a virtual interface on a router. On the switch, we have a virtual interface. That's what interface VLAN 1 is. It's a virtual interface. Well, on a router, we call it a loopback. It's just a virtual interface. There's no, if you were to go look at a router, there's no physical interface that says loopback. It's virtual. Okay. Type exit, exit. Show IP interface brief. And notice that there is no loopback interface. Right? There isn't one because we're going to add a virtual interface. What mode do I need to be in to add an interface? Global config. So interface LO1. You could also type loopback 1. Okay, so these directions are all in the Word document. Now, just like any other IP address on an interface, we're going to add the IP address. And the IP address is right there. And let's just try copying it and pasting it. So do a copy, and then do a paste, and hit enter. Copy, try the copy and pasting. Are you behind, Lou? Oh, you're there. Yep. So we're right here. Now we're going to add a description. We're not going to do the whole description. We'll learn more about descriptions. Let's say for our description, set loopback for testing. Set loopback for testing. And next, we're going to add an IP address to our G00 interface. Now, we're already in global interface mode. What do I type right here to get into G00? Yep, exactly. Interface G0, and we're going into G0/0. Interface G00. Now, I can write gigabit. I can write out the whole word. Or I can abbreviate. Add the IP address. I'm going to copy and paste. And let's look at our topology. I've added an IP address onto G00. Why is it still down? Why is it still red? Okay. How do I enable it?
Let the copy start running.
No.
You need to save the changes we've made.
No shutdown. So right now it's in the shutdown status. You have to tell it no shutdown. Let me show you something in here. We did that interface, show IP interface brief, right? And if we look right here, G00, see how it says it's administratively down? Unlike a switch, the interfaces on a router are down. They're administratively down. When the vendor, and this is true for any vendor, when the vendor sends it out, they administratively shut those interfaces down so that you have a little layer of security when you pull it out of the box. All right, so you have to activate that. You have to enable it by using the no shutdown command. No shutdown. And notice here, the console is giving us messages. It's telling us what's going on. Interface G00 has changed status to up, right? Up, down. Line protocol on the interface G00 has changed status to up. Let's do that show IP interface brief again. Now we see that it's manually up. That means somebody went in there, added the IP address, and then typed no shutdown. Now I'll do a shutdown just so we can see it, okay? So you don't have to do it. I'm going to do it. You can do it if you want. But I'm going to do a shutdown. Now look what it's doing. Interface G00, change status to administratively down. That means somebody manually typed in shutdown. Okay, and change status to down. If I do another show IP interface brief, we're going to see that it's administratively down. Okay, I want to do a no shutdown and bring it back up. Okay, let's type exit. So let's go ahead and ping from our IP address to our default gateway. We're going to go into ping. Yes. Oh, we didn't add a description. That's all right. We will next time. Good call. Okay, go ahead and ping your default gateway. All right, now we're going to try our access methods. We're going to try our access methods. Let's type end, exit, get out of this. So we're going to close. All right, first of all, we're going to do an in-band connection, not using the console. This in-band means that we're going to see if this PC can access this router. Now, in our labs, we actually haven't done that yet. Did you do the no shutdown? Okay. Okay. Well, on G00, you have to activate it using the no shutdown command. And then your light should go on. And okay. And you can test that by doing a ping. Okay, let's see. So we're going to go into PC1. If you're still on the command prompt, click on the X. And we're going to come down here and we're going to find the Telnet SSH client. Click on that to open it. And see where it says SSH? We're going to click on this and change it to Telnet. This is kind of like our equivalent of going into TerraTerm. Okay, this is like our equivalent of going into TerraTerm. And it says enter in the host name or the IP address. Well, we're going to enter in the IP address of the loopback. If I remember correctly, that was 10.10.10.10, right there, right? And then let's hit connect. Okay. Look at when we're seeing the banner, right? We're trying to get into the device. Take note of when you see this message. We're trying to get in for an in-band connection. User access verification. Now this password, what password are they asking for? What password? Try the console password and see if it lets you in. Well, try it.
Why does it say session terminated? Current session is closed.
It'll time out. You only have so much time to enter it. Do you want to reestablish? I'm going to say yes. So think about it right now. Notice what we're doing. Verify basic settings with terminal emulation program in band. In band. So is the console connection in band or out of band? Out of band. Out of band. So we're right here. We're at 1B. Verify basic settings with terminal emulation program in band. We're doing in band. So from PC1, verify you can access using Telnet. What password are we using to get in there? Try it. Did priv access work? What does priv access give us access to? Privilege mode. Are we even in the device yet? We're not even in the device yet. So that privileged code isn't going to work. Is console access going to work? No, because we're not trying to go in through the console. This is the VTY. This is the VTY. This is when we use the VTY. Okay, so what is the command? What's the password for the VTY? Okay, so let's try that. VTY access. Okay, and again, notice it's a blind password, right? We can't see it. We can't see it. All right, so we got in. We got into the device. That let us into the device with an in-band connection using the VTY. That's the whole point of this, is to see the difference between the VTY in-band and then the console for out-of-band. All right, now what password is it going to prompt us for? When I type, what do I need to type right here? Enable. And this is priv access. Because now I'm trying to get into privileged mode. Privileged mode. Make sense? Okay. Now I'm sitting, maybe I'm the administrative assistant, right? The network administrator left me in charge. I now have access from my desk, right, or anywhere that I'm going. I've got in-band access. I can run show commands, right? I can do a variety of different things. All right, so let's see here. From the desktop access the telnet, from PC1 verify you can access. Let's try SSH. Type exit. Do you want to say no? Now this time, instead of using the loopback, we're going to use the default gateway address. As long as the router has an IP address on it, you can access it. Now, are we going to be able to get in using SSH? Think about what we've done so far with our commands. Because, well, let's see. Let's type in the default gateway address. And for a username, just type in anything. Hit connect. Okay. Now, what do we not see that we saw the last time? The banner. We're not seeing the banner. And what password is this asking us for? Well, we're not, remember, we didn't connect up a console. This is all in-band. We're testing everything in-band. We didn't connect up a console. So let's try it. Let's try it. I'm going to say yes. VTY access. Now, do you see when we're seeing the message?
Now you see it.
Yeah. So there's just a little bit of a difference between these, okay? And on the first one, I have to think back. Yeah, we telnetted on the first one. It's protocol difference. Protocol difference. Yeah, it's a protocol difference between telnet and SSH. SSH is a little more secure, so you have to get into a different layer before it will even let you see the banner. All right, so we're going to do enable. Then what? Priv access, right? And we're in. All right, so do we have to answer some questions from PC1? Verify you can access the router using telnet. Just put yes, so we could access it. And I would add a little note in there that you got the banner message at the very beginning. The very beginning. What's that?
We were supposed to fill these out the whole time?
I think this is the first place we have something to fill out. Were there any other questions above? I don't think so. Those were just directions. Here, though, we're just going to put some information in here. And then from PC1, verify you can access the router using SSH. You can. Right? And just put in there that it prompted you for a password before giving us the message. Now the answer to this question, why were you able to access the device using SSH and any username? Now we're going to learn more about SSH in a future module, but it's because we didn't tell the device to ask for a username. We just said log in. So we just said, hey, when someone, because if you remember, we said when someone logs in, ask for the password. Ask for the password. Right? When someone logs in, ask for the password. And it's doing that because of SSH. And then enter, what password gave you access? What password gave you access? Well, the same password gave us access for Telnet and SSH. We're getting into the VTY. That's the point, right? We're going in through the VTY. We set up the password, VTY access. It doesn't matter if you use Telnet or SSH. The password is associated with the line, not the protocol. Yes?
What does the Y stand for?
Oh, teletype.
Well, no, the Y. The TTY would be the teletype.
VTY, virtual teletype.
Oh, so the Y.
Yeah, it's just,
TY
yeah.
is just, okay.
Virtual teletype, VTY, back when teletype was a thing.
Still is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Starts with the TY maybe?
Yeah, that's why. Yep.
I know the TTY is the code.
Okay, so are we good on this so far? All right, next we're going to check our out-of-band connection. All right, we're going to check our out-of-band connection. What do we need to do to check out-of-band connection? It says it right there. We have to connect a console cable. We're going to come here to the cables, grab the console, okay, plug that into the router. I'm going to bring it to the PC, and I'm going to connect that to the RS-232. Now from the desktop, so we're out of band now. We're out of band. We're not trying to, it's like we're plugged right into the device. We're not trying to get into it through our own network. Click on Terminal. And then OK.
So for this one, because we're doing it as a straight connection with the cable, that's why it's on top. They prompt us for a password.
That's not why. Why didn't it prompt us for a password? Look back up at the command for the console. When we added the console password, we didn't add the login. So even though we've put a password on here, have we protected our console? Okay, this is really important, right? This is really, really important. We just connected up. So it's like someone came in, picked up a console cable, and plugged in, and they're in your device. It doesn't matter that we set up a password. It does not matter. Now, we have layers of protection, so what's the next protection that we have? We've got the enable. So we do have a little bit of protection, right? If I go in and I type enable, it's going to ask me for that, okay? But it doesn't ask me for, this is the priv access, okay? All right, so what we want to do is, let's see, from PC1, okay, what password gave you access to the console? What password gave you access to the console just now? There, right. So we just got right in. There was none, right? There was none. Now, we were able to get in to the commands, into the command line using the enable password, right? But with the console, we just got right in. What password were you first prompted for? Which is for what? Yeah, the privileged access mode, right? The privileged access mode. We got right in on the console, and the first password we had to give was the privileged access. So explain your answer, and then we're going to go in and we're going to add the login command, and we're going to try this again. We're going to try this again. Yeah, you can do it from here, right? You can do it from here. So answer the question, and then once you've answered the question, we're going to go back into the line console where we've already put a password, but we're going to add the login command. All right, so when you're ready, go into config T, line console 0. Now, we've already put the password in there, so we don't need to add that again. But now we're going to tell the console, hey, if someone tries to log in, ask for the password. Ask for the password. Okay? Now let's get out of here and let's test this. Exit. Let's wait a minute here. Let's hit enter. And what is it doing now? Right? It's like, hey, you know, we would have our message here. Before you enter this, make sure you have make sure that you have authorization, right? And then if you need anything, call me, right? Call the network administrator. What password are we entering now? The console access. Because we were told if someone's trying to log in, ask for the console password. Console access. And what password is it asking me for now? Priv access. Okay, answer these questions. Okay. So we added the login. From the desktop, access the terminal like we did. Verify you can access the router using the terminal. What password gave you access? Again, the real important thing here is I want you to see how if you don't add that login, you haven't protected your console. And it's the same with the VTY. The VTY works because we added that one, right? We added the login. So it prompted us for the password. What?
Why is that a thing?
Because you don't want anybody getting it on your devices.
No, I mean, like, why would they add the need for a login command if you set the password? Like, why do you have to specifically say login? Password? Wouldn't it just assume?
So you're questioning, like, why by default wouldn't they just, like, if you're adding a password, Why aren't the commands set up that by default, that means you'd be prompted for a password? I don't know the answer to that. Do you know, Jason? Trying to think if there's anything using SSH.
If anything, it would be like staged deployments where, hey, we've loaded this config, now it's got the passwords, but before we send it out and enable that whole login thing, go in and make sure it's set up right.
Precautionary maybe or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be
Well,
like staged.
and I think it's so you don't lock yourself out. You
Right.
can, so like you can test it and then add the login. That's what I think you're talking about with the stage deployment. Yeah.
Right,
But
'cause recovery is brutally expensive.
oh, it's awful. Was it this class where 3 of you locked us out of the devices, or did I say the last class 3 people locked us out of the devices? Yeah. And so, stuff like this happens. Yeah. But I agree. It does seem like by default we should have it. Okay, so now, okay, let's do this. So we're still in the terminal, but let's do a show run. Okay, let's do a show run. And we're going to just look at all of these passwords, okay? First of all, we have enable password, priv access. We can see it, right? And then let's see what we find next. There's our IP address. Okay, here's our password console access with our login. Here's our VTY password, VTY access with our login. So I'm just like, oh, that's so nice. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add this command, service password encryption. What mode do I do it in? Transport input SSH. Where do you see transport input SSH? Where? Oh, right here. Add the following command. Skip it. Skip it. Skip it, skip it. Yeah, we're not going to do that. As a matter of fact, put on there that Andrea said skip this. If you put it in there, it's fine. If we have time, we'll come back to this, and then we'll take that command out. So, yeah. How did I miss that? That's okay. Okay, so we're here, part 2. Config T. Were some of you working ahead and added that? Perchance. Okay, let's add service, password, encryption. What are we going to see when we do a show run now?
It's going to be a bunch of jumbled letters and
Which ones?
all of them.
All of them? Okay, let's go look. Here's our first one, enable password. Right, that one's jumbled.
What command are you doing for that?
Huh?
What command is that? Is that the show IP?
Do show run. Yep, do show run. Okay, and look at that. Here's our line con 0. It's been encrypted. Here's our line VTY. It's been encrypted. Everybody see that? Okay. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I actually want to remove, even though we've encrypted the enable password, it's still a better practice to use the secret, okay, to use the secret. Whenever an assignment says protect the privilege mode, always use the secret, unless it specifically says, like ours did today, do not use the secret, do not encrypt it. Always assume best practices. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to say no enable password, because we're removing this one. Priv, priv access. Why didn't that work? Did I type it wrong?
Maybe that one's it.
Oh, you know what? No, it's not a do. Hold on. Just just do no enable password. I forgot we don't need to do that because we've encrypted it now. Can't see it. Okay, so no enable password to take out the less secure one. And now we're going to add in the more secure one. Enable what? Secret. And then the password is secret priv access. Let's type exit. Let's do a show run. We want to make sure that we got rid of that less secure one, the enable password. So this hash will even be longer than the service password encryption. So the way that it did it, enable secret, so we've got that. That looks good. And actually, we have plenty of time. So we'll go back up here and do part 1C. Take out the part that said, Andrea said, skip this. We'll do it. Sorry about that. I just didn't know if we'd have time, but we have plenty of time. Okay, so let me make sure everyone's caught up where we're at. Okay, so is everybody caught up from where we are right now? Yes, Andrea. Is that a yes? Yes? Or no? Okay. Sitting tight. Just sit tight for a second. Let's see. No. Oh, just type no enable. Oh, you're adding it in now, right? Or are you removing it? Adding it. Okay. Okay, so let's do part 1C, transport input SSH. Okay, why, module 2 talked about this. Why would I use SSH instead of Telnet? Why is it more secure?
Because it's like having a tunnel.
Yeah, it's kind of like having a tunnel. It's what happens is as the data moves through the SSH session, it encrypts the data. So whatever's moving through that, when you're talking to the devices or pulling information from the devices, if you're using SSH, it's going to encrypt it. Okay, we don't use SSH because it's more likely for people to get us locked out of the devices, and it's easier for us to reset with Telnet, okay? But I do want to show it to you, and we'll do it in some labs in the future. So this is like our first touch on it. You know, we read about it in Module 2, so this is our first touch on it. All right, so add the following command to the VTY. So we're going to go back into the VTY line, and how do I do that?
We have the two line, we have the access VTY, which would be, we're already in config, right?
Mm-hmm.
After you get to
Line VTY04. So there's actually 5 VTY lines. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, we've already added a password. We've already said log in. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to tell the VTY that we only want to let someone in if they're using SSH. So if somebody's using Telnet, we're not even going to let them in. That's what this command transport input SSH it's basically saying, remember, transport, the transport layer, we have to open up port 22, okay? So if port 22, we're saying open up port 22, and if somebody is inputting information or pulling information, only do that if it's SSH. Okay, so it's giving the command, we're adding the information into the command line so it knows how the VTY line knows how to behave. So we're going to say transport input SSH. Okay. Now let's get out of here. I'm going to get all the way out of here. Now, what do I need to do next to test this?
Exit out of this completely. Exit.
Okay.
And then tab over from SSH or SSH to telnet.
Okay. What do I have to do before that? So right now, what are we in? We've been accessing the devices through what type of a connection?
You gotta remove it.
Right, we're in the console right now, right? So what do we put, where did we just put that on? Right, so we set up SSH using the console connection. Okay, right, we understand that. Now we added this command, transport input SSH, to the VTY lines. Okay, so how am I going to test that this is working? How? Go underline VTY? Okay, how do I do that? How do I do that? Hold on. What? Okay, but from where? From where? We're in an out-of-band connection. Now remember, here. Yes, okay, look. Okay, so here we were. Where is that? Okay. Remember here, verify basic settings with terminal emulation program in band. In band. Okay? And what password let us into this on an in band? VTY. So how did we test it? How do I get into that in band? We're in the console right now. We're out of band. Disconnect what?
The console?
Disconnect the console. Get rid of the console. Because whenever you are doing the VTY, you're in band. You're not using a console. Okay? You're not using the console. So we're going to get rid of it. So you hit the little X. We can just get rid of this. We're going to go back just like we did here. Verify basic settings with terminal emulation program. This is testing. We're testing the in band. We're testing the in band. Let's see here. I'm going to close this out. We're going to come down here to the Telnet SSH client. Okay, open the Telnet SSH client. Enter in the IP address. Now you can enter in either IP address, the loopback or the default gateway. It doesn't care. You just got to have an IP address on the router. Enter in any username because we didn't tell it to use a username, right? And connect. What password is this? VTY access. Okay, VTY access. Enable. What one is this? secret priv access. Secret priv access. Because we changed it to be the one that's encrypted. So this is secret priv access. Secret priv access. Okay. Okay. I want to make sure everybody's understanding what we just did, how we went from the console back to an in-band, just using the regular computer, because I feel like I see some like deer in the headlight looks. Okay, are we good there? Matt?
My
Gear.
password's not working, so I have no idea.
Oh,
Maybe
your
I did something
password's not working. Which one?
wrong. My secret.
My confusion just came from getting rid of the cable.
So you did secret hyphen priv hyphen access?
That's what I think I did at least.
Put a space at the end of it. A lot of times people just put a space. Try it one more time with the space.
I forgot a hyphen.
So how can you fix this?
I don't know.
Call Jim.
I was going to answer call Jim.
Go click on your router. Just click on the router itself. There you go. Now take it out. Take out whatever. Hit enter. See, oh, we might have the same. Yeah, we're going to have the same problem. Go ahead and enter in.
The console access, right?
Well, you haven't committed it, so you could reboot.
Oh, you could reload it. So try enable. Yeah, you're going to be stuck.
Fix that one thing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so what are we going to do next? We'll come back to you. So we just got in with SSH. Did everybody except Matt get in with SSH? And actually, you did get in with SSH. You just can't get into the CLI. Right? You see the difference? Okay, is everybody in? Okay, everyone's in? Oh, working on it? Oh, are you locked out of yourself too? No, you're in, okay. Are you locked out, Lou?
Just getting back into it.
Okay. So we just verified we can get in with SSH. What aren't we supposed to be able to do? What aren't we supposed to be able to do? We're not supposed to be able to get in with Telnet. So we want to verify that, right? So we're going to go in, we're going to try to get in, and we want to make sure that we really can't get in, right? Always test what you think your network is supposed to be doing. So again, I'm going to type exit. Has closed. Do you want to reestablish? I'm just going to say no because I'm going to start over. Now this time I'm going to try with Telnet. I'm going to try with Telnet. I'm going to enter in 192.168.0.1, my default gateway address. And I'm going to hit connect. Should I be able to get in here? Nope. Does it matter that I have a login and I have a password? It doesn't matter because we told if somebody's trying to get in with an in-band connection, only let them in with SSH. Okay? Only let them in with SSH. Okay? Yes.
So I did the whole telnet thing,
Yes.
and when I tried to connect, switch over to SSH, so it kind of like forced you into it.
Yeah, but you're not in there,
Right.
right? It didn't let you in. So hit the X. Okay, and then are you in this?
Yeah.
Okay, click on that. So let's try Telnet. Telnet.
Yeah.
Yeah, Telnet, and then let's try it 192 or the 10, whatever address you want. Yep. There we go, connect. Yeah, that is fine. It doesn't, I don't know why it's doing that. See, there might be a command that you have a little different, but it's not letting you in. That's the important thing. That's the important thing. All right. Again, so just the difference between a console connection. So we set everything up initially with the console because that's how you have to set things up, right? But once you have everything set up, you can go and you can access your network devices just using a regular in-band N device, right? Again, we haven't done that yet in a lab. We've only used the console, but that's why we had to switch. Whenever you're setting up information on the VTY, line VTY, remember that's for your in-band access. Your in-band access. So if you want to have somebody, again, the example I always use if I'm the network administrator and I'm getting ready to leave the country, for example, and I want my assistant or I want the tier 3 tech to have the same access as I do, I set them up with SSH at, right from their desk so they can access everything from in-band, right? They can use a console or not, but I want them to have access to it right there, all right? Okay, so finish up these questions down here at the bottom. Overall, what did you learn? Did it improve your understanding of access methods? Okay, and then you're going to save this. You're going to save the packet tracer, and you're going to upload both of them. Okay, you're going to save this. You're going to save the document and the packet tracer. You're uploading both of them to this assignment. You don't use the upload thing. You just put them both with this assignment. Thank you. Okay, when you're done, take a break. It's 8:45. Be back at 8:50, and we have a Kahoot, and then we'll end the night. Okay? God, I feel like class flew by tonight. More fast than usual. Yep, that little up arrow. Control P, like control previous, right? That's what I think of it. The prompt, like that's the first part. It's prompting you for information. Yeah, so this one seems tough, right? Because of the line console is actually protecting the console. But what's the very first mode? Like if you can't get into the console, you can't get into where? User. You can't even get into user. That's how you have to think of it. Like you never make it to privilege. You never make it to global. So line console 0, it is protecting the console, but that's because you can't even get to user mode. You don't even see switch or router, right? You see nothing. Last question. Oh, enable. The enable is protecting the privilege mode. When you type enable, you get into privilege mode. Daniel, second time on the podium. Gabby, good job, same thing. And drum roll, please. Nicely done, Jason. Okay, go ahead and mark this one. Okay, go ahead and mark this one. And I will see everybody on Thursday. See everybody on Thursday.